Do you
So
us?
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Guys, yeah, apologies for the delay and the change of the event link right at the end. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to whichever place you're dialing in from. So welcome to this month's Ansible Meetup. My name is Ashur Benjamin, and I'll be your host for today. With me, I have a very familiar face to you all, Michael Kaliza. Michael is a senior Red Hat solution architect based in Wellington, New Zealand. We hope everyone's doing well, and I guess looking forward to the holidays. For me, I am counting the days. It has been a very, very interesting year, as we know. Cool. So today we have two very special speakers who will talk to us about two exciting Ansible capabilities. We have Sreejith Anujan from Red Hat and Kevin Reynolds from Bank of New Zealand. A very warm welcome to you both. Sreejith will talk to us about Ansible Private Automation Hub, which is one of the latest, one of the new features in Ansible. He will give us an overview of the architecture, how you can control, secure, and scale your Ansible automation with Private Automation Hub. We will look at certified and community collections as well, and then close it off with an exciting demo. We know everybody loves seeing demos, but we will start off with Kevin Reynolds. Kevin will share his experience on using satellite content management with Ansible. He will give you a technical overview of on how BNZ built their hands-off satellite content management process. He will discuss scope of their challenges and requirements and a breakdown of the components in the Ansible Tower Workflow. And at the end, I know we started a bit late. If we have time, we do want to hear some feedback from you about these virtual Ansible meetups. So what you like or dislike about them. What can we do to improve them? Is it the timing? Is it content, type of speakers we're inviting? Feedback is really important to us as it will help us improve these sessions for next year, for 2021. Some quick reminders, as most of our meetup sessions, this one is recorded, so you can watch it again later. We know sometimes you just can't get enough Ansible in you, or you can share it with your colleagues if they're nice enough to you. Please ask questions in the Q&A box and make the session interactive. There is an available chat box to you at the bottom right corner. So comments, feedback, corrections, anything, other things that you have in mind, what you're having for dinner, if you like. Any comments are welcome. So please do make it interactive. So yeah, done talking. I'll hand it over to Kevin to kick off the session for us. Kevin, over to you.
Hi, this is Kevin from the BNZ, and I'm just here today to share our experiences with the satellite content management when combined with Ansible Tower. I'm assuming everyone can see my screen okay?
Yep, we can, Kevin.
Yep, sweet. All right, so I'll just start by going for a quick introduction of who I am, then we'll talk through what our requirements were for this automation and what the solution we built out was to meet those requirements, and a brief overview of what we're doing next in that regard. So who am I? I am Kevin Reynolds. I'm a senior technical specialist at the BNZ. I've got 12 years combined experience across both Windows and Linux operating system environments, and I've used Ansible for the last 2 or 3 years in anger. And I found it works quite well for us. So what is it that we're trying to solve? So in our satellite implementation, when we started this route, we found it was taking quite a long time to publish content within the satellite environment. So we're seeing numbers of about 10 minutes per content view, and we had approximately 22 content views. So those numbers added up quite quickly. And then we had a number of promotions to run, which took about 45 minutes apiece, and across 3 life cycles for about half of those content views, so 11 total. So again, quite a lot of time there, and there was room for error, so occasionally someone would miss a publish or a promote phase, which would impact clients that consume satellite. So what requirements did we have? So we wanted this to be a completely no human touch process for managing the content. So that means At no point in that process do we want someone have to provide an input manually. So we had to be able to pull all of the information out dynamically and then run through either the publish or promote type process or some of the peripheral things. And we also need to be able to update the dates so that the consistency between the content views. So everything filtered to say the 1st of December, if that was when that ran, was at 1 a.m. And that way it wouldn't matter whether that process completed at 1 a.m. or 4 a.m., everything would be frozen to the same time window. So we didn't go through this completely by ourselves. We found some existing content management processes. An excellent one from Andrew Huffman, which manages content publishing promotions rather nicely. And Olivia Gerben's content management plays as well, which didn't like the way it managed content views as much, but it does a fantastic job of managing versioning within the satellite environment. So this is what we've built out. So this is a test platform, so it shows the entire workflow end to end. Effectively, we start with content publishing, we move into content promotions, and we run a capsule sync and post-processing at the end. So I'll explain a bit more of how that works as we go through it. So to break it down, we have 4 key templates which we use. All of these are both generic and inherently reusable in the sense that any one of these you could run it independently. It will pull all of the information it needs at the start of the run and then proceed with the desired tasks, whether that's publishing, promotion, capsule syncing, or version control. When we put these together, we can manage this throughout any lifecycle environment that we build out in satellite. And of course, every one of these works via the satellite API. We're not hitting any satellite infrastructure directly. It all runs off the Ansible Tower server across the satellite API. So the first one of these was the content publishing. So the requirements for this were we had to be able to determine dynamically which content views we needed to publish. So although we had about 22 content views within satellite, we were only responsible for a subset of those. If we were to publish other teams' content channels at that time, it would cause a downstream problem for us. So we want to be able to narrow that down. Again, we need to update the date filters at the time of publishing to ensure that our content was consistent. And we had to be able to publish new versions of each content view automatically. So how do we build it out? So unfortunately, I can't show you all of the Ansible code. I just don't have the time to be able to do that. But effectively what we're doing is we're using a bunch of JSON queries to identify content views that we manage. Then we split those content views up between the content and composite views. And the reason for that is that the processing has to happen sequentially. You can't publish a new composite view without first ensuring that all of the components that make that composite view up are also published. Otherwise, you're just republishing the same content version you had before. It also updates all the date filters and publishes a new content view version. So this is the script we borrowed here. So a lot of what we've built is automation around gap filling around what was available already. How do we get the managed views? It's a JSON query. It took a little bit to work out, but effectively, Ansible doesn't like null values in a JSON query, so we're first having to go out to all of the content views, narrowing down to composite or regular content views, and then we drop anything that's what's a null value, and then we search for anything that contains the words auto-managed in that's description. So the setup for this is each content view you go and add auto-managed to it, and then the system looks for that tag and then starts building that into a list to publish. The date filtering proved a bit more complicated because quite simply dates can be frustrating, especially when time is involved. So we did a bit of experimentation and had issues with various implementations that people suggested on the internet, and we've arrived with this one. Effectively what we're doing is we capture 2 facts. That's important because we're going to mangle one of those facts later. The first one we convert into what's called mini ISO format, which is the version that API expects. The second one is used to update the filter. So we're cheating a bit because when we do that math, we end up with one no longer suitable to update in the API. So assuming that that first check passes, then we pass the new value directly into the API post to update the filter. So you can see the logic here a little bit. So effectively, there's a new date, convert it into year, month, day, and the time. And we get the date that was originally set within the API and do a subtraction to get the number of days between them. And then that's, if there's if it's been more than 7 days since we last ran that update, we'll go ahead and update the filter. If it's closer than 7 days, we skip that. And that's simply because we don't want to be updating the filter every time we need to republish, because otherwise what happens if there's a failure somewhere in the process, you want to be able to rerun the script and publish everything without incrementing the filter forward each time. Which brings us to the next step. So once we've got all of the content views published, we have to be able to work out where we're going to promote them. So we have to be able to work out where each content view belongs in a life cycle, and we have to be able to run a promotion for each content view within that life cycle. So how does it work? So first we run again a bunch of JSON queries. So we have two environments that we've coded in here, which is on-prem and off-prem. It builds an array of all of the content views that are currently existing within that lifecycle. And then we're turning off automated syncs, which we'll come back to in a minute. So brings us to syncing. So we need to be able to run optimized syncs for each of the capsules on the satellite space, and they have to have a delay between each one of those syncs, because we found if you run too many sync processes to capsule servers at once, the API starts to become unresponsive and the rest will just fail out due to issues talking to the URL. And then we're re-enabling automated syncs. So again, there's some checking here. So we want to ensure that the capsule actually requires a sync. So when you run a promotion with that option turned off for automated syncs, it will populate a field in the API with what life cycles are pending a sync. So if there's any entries in that, then we're happy, we'll move on to the next phase. And then we're checking if there's any syncs currently running. So that was to address an issue where if you ran multiple syncs at once, it can cause downstream effects requiring resyncing the capsule from scratch. But if both of those conditions are fine, then we initiate a content sync to all of the servers. So why do we do this? Automated syncs are expensive. I mentioned before it takes about 45 minutes or so per remote phase to do that. So at the time we put this together, we had 3 lifecycle tiers and 11 content views into each tier. So that time started to get quite excessive. So what we've done instead is we turn off the automated sync, we stage everything out to where it needs to be, and then we run the sync and re-enable the auto sync as soon as that promotion's finished, so that instead of running sort of 22 syncs at a time, we're only running 1 sync per capsule server. So it's given us a lot of efficiency, but it also gives us control over when those syncs happen within the environment, because they can be disruptive in terms of satellite impact. And then there's version management off the back of that, which currently all it does is a cleanup to ensure we're only maintaining 3 content view versions. Saying that, there's only been one occasion where I've actually had to revert to a content view version since we've had satellite in operation. And that was just due to a kernel bug to revert. So off the back of all of this, the question is, was it worth doing? And I'd say it was. The content publishing component used to take 8.5 hours to complete, so that's a day of work. Content promotions were 8 hours per environment. Now, if you remember, we had 3 lifecycle environments, so that's 3 days by itself, and then we had actually an extra set of 3 lifecycle environments, so that was another 3 days. And then version cleanup is a manual task, used to take about 8 hours to go through each content view and then manually delete versions. So it saved us quite a significant amount of time, which I found of benefit. So what are we doing next? So there are some limitations, obviously. Unfortunately, the way filters are managed at the API layer, when you're talking about multiple errata filters, it's not an easy way to distinguish between the date filter and the errata. So currently limited a bit in what we can filter out of the content view, which we're working to resolve, and hopefully the collection will help with that. We're also building out the lifecycle section to work automatically. So if you saw before, we had to hard code in some life cycles in the promotion stage, which I'm not a really big fan of, because if we want to add or remove lifecycle tests, you've got to go and then update playbook and test it and re-promote it. So we're looking to make that happen automatically, which require a bit more JSON. And we're also looking to expand out the reporting capability. So at the moment, most of the information you get back is populated into Ansible Tower, but we want to be able to publish that information out to the MS Teams channels and things too. People can see, once those promotions have run, what we're actually promoting and what we're publishing and when, which has proven to be quite a limitation at the moment. And we're looking at expanding post-processing. So I've had a few instances where things fail to occur, and we're looking to expand that to pick up when those failures have happened. So that's the end. Were there any questions before I hand back? Or?
I think we're good. No questions so far.
Thanks for that, Kevin. So we'll hand it over to Sreejith now. Sreejith, if you're ready, do you want to just start to share your screen, please?
Yes, so I believe you can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right, great. I see around 10 attendees, that's fine. So just a quick fact check. How many of you heard about Ansible Collections? If you did, give us a plus in the chat, just so that I know. And I don't need to talk about collections. All right, seems like no one knows about Ansible.
I take it they want to hear about it, Sreejith, yeah.
Okay, right, yeah. So the reason why I asked about Ansible Collections is we have actually started delivering Ansible content in a more certified and curated way, and that artifact is called as Collections, where you have Red Hat certified roles, Red Hat certified content packaged as a tar role, made it available in the software as a service offering called as Automation Hub. So my talk today is Private Automation Hub, but before we go to that, it's important you understand what is Automation Hub. So Automation Hub is a SaaS solution where you actually get certified content from cloud.redhat.com. So if you see here, this is cloud.redhat.com dashboard, and this is the Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform section of cloud.redhat.com. As I said, this is a SaaS offering where you can get the certified collections. Okay, so if you are familiar with Ansible roles, think of collections as a superset where you have the roles included in collection. The good thing about collections is Red Hat will be helping our partners and our other partner ecosystems to certify their collections so that customers can confidently use these collections as part of Ansible Automation Platform subscription. Having said that, let me just move to our current topic, which is Private Automation Hub architecture. So you see to the left-hand side, the Automation Hub, which I just described, which is a SaaS platform. You all know about Ansible Galaxy, right? Galaxy has been there for close to 8 years. You can have your private web server or private file server where you serve your private content, right? Now, where private automation hub sits is in your DMC, right? So think of it as something similar to Red Hat Satellite, right? You just heard Kevin talking about Satellite. So Satellite basically is a on-premise deployment of your Red Hat solutions and packages, right? You will actually use that to update, patch your system. So private automation hub sits in your infrastructure, in your demilitarized zone, and this will actually be configured to connect to Red Hat's automation hub or the community galaxy or your private content which you managed earlier. And your Ansible Tower clusters will be able to connect to private automation hub and download the or pull the certified content from the private automation hub. So the value of having a private automation hub is you can also create your own collections, upload those collections to your private automation hub. If you decide to share it back to the community, you can get it certified by Red Hat and then share it back to community, and the community can also leverage from that. Starting with Ansible Tower 3.8, we started supporting private automation hub. And the deployment of Automation Hub is pretty straightforward. If you are familiar with Ansible Tower deployment, you probably would remember there is an inventory file. And in the inventory file, you need to make some additional sections. Starting with 3.8, you see one more section in the name Automation Hub. And inside the Automation Hub, you can give location of your private automation hub host name. So as we speak today, the private automation hub should be deployed on Red Hat Enterprise Linux only. And we require a subscription of Ansible Automation Platform so that you can have Automation Hub also deployed. And the rest of the sections of the inventory is pretty straightforward. And just for your information, in case you already have Ansible Tower deployment in your infrastructure, you can have the Automation Hub deployed alone with the database. Good thing is Automation Hub also uses PostgreSQL database 10 and above. And if you want to deploy Tower and Automation Hub together, you can do that as well. But you cannot run Tower and Automation Hub in the same server simultaneously. You must have a separate Automation Hub server. But you can use the same database for both Tower as well as Automation Hub. Any questions before I move forward?
Yeah,
All
there
right.
is no question so far.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
I've got one. If you, I don't know, maybe just to confirm that, are you able to sync certified content collections from Automation Hub to your own locally managed private instance?
You can, so I'm going to do that. So this was my last slide for your information. I'm going to demos, okay? So let me connect to my Automation Hub. Before I do that, let me show the two servers which I use. So I have two VMs deployed in my current infrastructure, the home lab. This is my Ansible Tower. So I named it as Ansible Automation Platform Tower. This is my Automation Hub, the private Automation Hub, Ansible Automation Platform AH. Okay, and the deployment is over. So how do you connect to Ansible Automation Hub, which is private? You connect to the host name, as you see in my screen. Then during the deployment, you can choose whether you need to have a self-signed certificate or a private CA-signed certificate. You have the option to give it in your inventory file. So this is the Automation Hub dashboard, as you see here. Let me log out. I think this is a familiar login screen if you are coming from a OpenShift-based environment, right? So this is the login page for Automation Hub. The default user is admin. You can actually give the password which you gave in the inventory file. And this will be the place where you actually land. You to the left hand side you see different types of collections. One is published, second one is Red Hat certified collections, the third one is community. So to the question which was asked earlier, can I actually sync content from Red Hat's Automation Hub to your private Automation Hub? You can, and that's why you see these collections here, because I already synced it. And just you're curious, you see a repo management to the left, top below, and in the repo management, you will be able to sync repositories or collections from your remote server. So I will actually be showing to you momentarily. And let me walk you through the different sections of the Automation Hub. So this is a certified collections place. You choose Red Hat certified collections and choose the collection. And I remember many of you told you haven't used collections or might don't have used collections. So in collections, what you do is you create a namespace, right? And within the namespace, you upload your collection. So you can create your own namespace before you can upload your own homegrown collection. Okay. And if you look into my namespaces, these are all namespaces which are here as part of synchronizing the content from the Ansible Galaxy or Red Hat Automation Hub. Okay. And there is an API token, there is users, groups, and all. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I will show you how you can actually create your own user and upload your collection first. Then you will be able to synchronize content from Ansible Galaxy or Red Hat Automation Hub. So first and foremost, you need to create a user and a group who will have lesser privilege than the administrator user, right? And when you create a group, as you see here, testing group 1, you can actually give different permissions, right? Whether that particular group has rights to create a namespace. If it has the right to create a namespace, can the user modify the repo content? Can that group create additional users? Can that group create additional groups or remote collection sync and all this? So you create a group first, and just for the sake of the demonstration, I already have a group created in the name content approvers. And once you have the group created, you go to users and create a user, and it's pretty straightforward. As part of the user creation, you need to choose a group. So all permissions which you gave to the group will be inherited to the user. So I have one such user created almost an hour ago, just for this presentation. Okay. I see a question from Kevin. Can we integrate with LDAP? Currently, no, not possible, Kevin. It's only local users. But from an architectural perspective, good question. Let me just tell you some of the new features which are expected in the roadmap. In the next version, I believe we will have a clustered environment for Automation Hub supported. Currently, Automation Hub cannot be deployed in a clustered way like what we have with Ansible Tower. And if I read it correctly in some of the roadmap, the centralized authentication with LDAP and all those are coming in the future. But currently, it's a local user. Okay. So yes, so I created this local user in the name Sreejith, and once a user is there, you can log out and log back in as that user. Okay. Type the password. Yes. Yeah, so I actually have Red Hat certified as the default landing page. So you see, it cannot show you any of the content. So I look at the published content. I see a collection which I created almost an hour ago in the name ANC Collections. And I'll tell you how you can actually create that. So first and foremost, what you do is you create a namespace. Okay. So you go to your My Namespaces, you will be able to create a namespace, and within the namespace, you will be able to upload the collection. And you'll be wondering why I'm not able to see the option to create a namespace. It's because I do not have the right to create the namespace. As admin, I didn't give that permission, right? So in case you need to create a namespace, this is how it looks like. You see a create, you give a namespace which is unique, right? So ANSI Meetup 1, I can give a group, content approvers, create, right? Then you see you have the option of uploading a collection, right? I think those who are coming from role would know that you can actually uh, share your roles as tar files, right? So collections will also follow the same pattern. You can upload a collection which is in a tar file. So click on upload collections, select the file. So I have a collection built using Ansible-Galaxy command. If you're wondering how to build a collection, the command is this Ansible-Galaxy collections. There is a collection subcommand. Then you have init, build, install, publish, and all. So I'm not going into the details of how to create a collection, but that's pretty straightforward. I see one more question. Who will be responsible for the internal PostgreSQL DB being used by Hub? Good question, Aisel. Even with Tower, right, you have multiple options to use a database. Either you can use a database uh, deployed as part of the Tower deployment, or you can actually use a database which was already there in the infrastructure, right? So it comes down to whether the database existed earlier or not. So if you are deploying the database as part of Tower and Automation Hub deployment, I would say it will be your responsibility to manage that. Okay, and we do have some roles which is there to do some database level activities. Ansible Tower comes with a database sync and backup options, so you can actually use that. Mike, I believe Mike, Ashur, and rest of the Red Hat team is there keeping honest with my responses. Okay, if I'm giving any stupid response. Okay, so that's about making the collection. So you will be able to choose this local collection and upload it to your collections which you just created in the private automation hub, right? So this way you will be able to upload the collections, which then will be shown in your my namespace. Okay. Uh, so I'm actually going to show you the repository management and all those, but before I do that, any questions? Okay, I don't see any.
There's no
No,
new questions.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. So now coming to one of the earlier questions around how we can actually synchronize certified collections from Red Hat Automation Hub or maybe Galaxy. So when you go to the repo management to the left-hand side, right, you see local, okay, which basically means your own automation hub, okay, your private automation hub. To the right, you see remote. I believe you can see remote, right? So when you see remote, under the remote, you have two remote names pre-populated. One is community, which will actually go back to Ansible Galaxy. The second one is Arch-certified, which is the certified Red Hat collections from Automation Hub SaaS application, right? Now, if you go to the community, you see the three vertical dots. Click on that button, you have the option of editing it, okay? In case you want to basically make changes to the Galaxy and you need to map it to your private Galaxy, you can actually create your own private Galaxy kind of environment over HTTP. You can choose that. And there are some advanced options also like authentication if that private Galaxy kind of environment has authentication. Okay, so then you can actually give all of this information and then you will be able to just sync it. The same goes with the Red Hat certified content. You look the edit option. By default, the URL will be cloud.redhat.com API Automation Hub. And obviously, you need to give it token, right, for synchronizing it. So you will be able to generate this token from your automation hub. So this is the cloud.redhat.com automation hub. If you look here to the left, you see repo management, right, in the SaaS application. And in there, you will actually be able to create a token which you can use to synchronize your content from Red Hat automation catalog to your private automation hub. You see here, get token. Can I get some quick response if you see this, just so that I know you're there? Maybe a
Yeah, we
plus?
can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is how you basically get the token. So once you get the token, you come back to your automation hub and give that token, then you synchronize it. Yeah. And now, how do you use it with Ansible Tower? So that's the most important thing, right?
I actually have a question here.
Yeah, so I just saw that. So Mike has a question. What is the advantage or benefits that you see using Automation Hub over maintaining it via Git or Ansible Galaxy? Yeah, so one major feature of private automation hub is the governance. Okay, so I was expecting that you would ask, some of you would ask me a question, what this approval is. Did you see approval here? Right. So imagine you have a team of members who are actually tasked with creating these collections in your organization, right? And you want to actually make them go through this curation, right? They actually generate automation artifacts as collections. They will upload it to Automation Hub. You as a automation manager can actually go through those collections, curate it, and approve it so that it will be available in the private automation hub. So that's one of the major advantages of having a way of making sure that the automation artifacts which you upload to private automation hub is fully supported within the organization. Beyond that, something very similar to what you have with Red Hat Satellite, right? Many a times you have restrictions with your environments to connect to Red Hat's automation hub, which is hosted in the content delivery network, right? You have stringent network requirements which will not allow you to pull these updates and all directly from the internet. So Automation Hub actually acts as an intermediary which can actually download only the collections which your organization uses, then give it to your Ansible Tower, which is within your organization, right? And one of the exciting things which I am looking forward to is when satellite actually gets pulp free, right? Satellite uses a repository management tool called as pulp. And just for your information, Automation Hub, private Automation Hub also uses pulp. So think about having a private automation hub deployed in your environment, which can periodically sync with the Red Hat content delivery network, right? So what you do is you place satellite in front of private automation hub. Satellite can actually sync the collections, then give it to a disconnected private automation hub. Right. So currently it is expected that the private automation hub is directly connected to it. Right. So going forward, we will have the capability of collections being downloaded to satellite, then satellite give it back to private automation hub. Okay. Yeah. So Kevin, I do not have a roadmap. So what I understood from some of the mail exchanges is the Ansible business unit is waiting for a satellite to have pulp free. So I'm expecting maybe in the next version of Satellite, maybe 6.8 or 6.9 or whatever is the latest. But that will basically address many of the disconnected environment concerns with private automation hub. Okay. Yeah. So Mike, the approval, governance, and then the disconnected environment features I mentioned is some of the exciting features which is offered by private automation hub. Now, I was basically at how you can have your Ansible Tower talk to your private automation hub, right? So this is my Ansible Tower. Okay, got logged off. So in Tower, if you go to, so this is my latest Tower. I think it is 3.8.0. Yes. Let me maximize. Yeah. So within Tower, if you go to settings, not settings. If you go to organization, look at your organization. Okay, you would notice Galaxy credentials. Okay, by default, the Ansible Galaxy, which doesn't require an authentication, right, will be automatically there. You have the option to choose an additional what do you call automation hub source, right? So right now I have private automation hub being chosen here. It's because I created a credential here. If there is a way you can actually create a credential within Ansible Tower, and if you look, we have a new credential type called as Ansible Galaxy Automation Hub API token, right? If you check that, you will be able to give the private automation hub token here, which can be used to synchronize collections from your private automation hub. And how do you get this API token from your private automation hub? You can actually go to your private automation hub here. You see repo management. Okay, under the repo management, go to your local repositories. Okay, you see the same three dots, get token, right? Get the token. So if I actually click on get token, whenever you create a new token, the earlier token will be removed. So I'm not going to click on load token, but go to the repository, get the token. You see the repo URL here, right? Copy this repo URL, come back to your tower, give that repo URL here, Galaxy server URL, right? With the token, you will be able to configure the credential which actually connects back to your Ansible private automation hub. Then on the organization, what you do is you let your organization use this private automation hub as your source for certified collections. Just for your information, this is an organizational wide configuration. So if you know Ansible Tower, right, organization is basically the highest level of hierarchy, right? So for each organization, you can actually choose different automation hubs or Red Hat automation hub or Ansible Galaxy like that, right? So once you have that, it's pretty straightforward. What you do is you create your templates like the way you used to create earlier, and obviously in your project, right, when you actually create a playbook, right? So in here I have a playbook which creates droplets in DigitalOcean. Okay, so if you are familiar with DigitalOcean, what it does is it creates an instance. So I have a DigitalOcean instance being created, and in this playbook, I am using the community.digitalocean collection, as you see here, right? And in my requirements.yaml file, as you see here, in the collection, there is a requirements.yaml. The source is my private automation hub. You see AAP-AH. So this is my private automation hub. So what it does is it actually connects back to my automation hub because the organization has my automation hub. It will pull in the collections to Tower and then execute it. So let me just show that to you right away. So I have, okay, just some of the other architectures. The private automation hub uses Nginx as the web front end. Okay. So this is my private automation hub. I'm going to basically look at the Nginx access log. Okay. And what I do now is I'll go back to my tower. Where is my tower? Yes. I will just execute the job template, create DigitalOcean droplet. Okay. Just execute this. Let's see what happens on the Automation Hub access log of Nginx. I just wanted to let you know that Ansible Tower now connected to my Automation Hub and pulled in the community DigitalOcean collection. Okay. And then it actually went ahead and started deploying the droplet. Yeah, so that's pretty much about what I wanted to show as part of a demonstration. And I hope it was useful. Any questions?
Yeah, I think that was really a good demonstration of the capability of collection. Can you talk to us about security? Because the FSI and government agencies, before they implement such thing in their environment, they'll talk about security requirements. And what are the things do you think that an organization should consider on security front before thinking of implementing this in their production environment?
Yeah, so I think security, when you talk about, can be tied back to the certified content, right? I've been talking about collections and Automation Hub providing certified collections from Red Hat, right? So there are two ways to look at it. One is the disconnected environments, right? So when you look at the FSI sectors, uh, they wouldn't allow any of their environments to be directly connected to internet, right? So they will have challenges in pulling these certified contents from the Red Hat SaaS platform, which is cloud.redhat.com, right? So this private automation hub will obviously make sense for them, not just for developing their own content, but confidently pulling content periodically from, like I mentioned, satellite or directly from Red Hat's automation hub, then use that automation artifacts to automate their infrastructure over time, right? And coming back to collections per se, we are all excited about collections because Ansible Galaxy never was a place where you can actually download certified Red Hat content, right? So with Automation Hub coming, you get the confidence of curated and certified content from Red Hat. And if you look at Automation Hub, you will see that there are lot many collections from our partner ecosystem, right? So all our partners will also go through the what do you call content collection, publishing, and building guidelines. And we will make sure that all those collections are actually meeting our best practices, right? So that's how I actually tied back to security.
Just a quick question.
I think that's really good.
Sorry, Mike.
You're saying something. Go ahead.
Just a question from Kevin. The question is Automation Hub consumable via CLI or as well, or only via Tower?
Yeah. So Kevin, consumption of see what do we have in Automation Hub, right? It's nothing but collections, right? Whether it is private or on-prem, in the sense hosted by Red Hat. So when you want to consume it, you can actually consume it using the CLI Ansible dash playbook. What you do is in the playbook, you use the collections and you mention from which source you want to actually download that collection, right? So there is no specialized Automation Hub CLI, but you use the standard Ansible-based CLIs to consume it. Instead of consuming it from Galaxy or Red Hat's hosted environment, you consume it from private automation perspective.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's good. Thanks for sharing the automation hub to us, Sreejith. That I think that was really good, very informative, and I enjoyed the demo myself because I haven't tried it connecting to to Tower. It's actually really easy.
Yeah, so the good part is I will appreciate everyone to just, or I would encourage everyone to go and look at the 60-day evaluation of Ansible Automation Platform, and it
Yeah.
has this required entitlements.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so yeah, I think that's it. We are in top of the hour already, Ash. So yeah, no more questions. So we'll close the meetup. And thanks for attending, guys. And sorry for the mishaps about the links earlier. I received at least 3 emails from people asking asking for the why is the what you call this? Why is the link not working? So I guess there are more people who was not able to join. But I think that's good. It's recorded, so we'll just post this in the link in, not the link in the Meetup website.
So yeah, and yeah, Sreejith, thanks for your time. Yeah, great demo. Kevin, thanks for sharing your experience. It's always actually good to hear directly from customers on their experience and I guess perspective, right? So that was great. Everyone else, yeah, thanks for joining, and I guess enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.
Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas first.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.